The delegate from Shenandoah, Delegate Gilbert.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise for a point of personal privilege.
Delegate has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we get very quickly and very easily cynical serving in these roles sometimes. I'm sure the public shares some cynicism with politics most of the time, which is why it was even more difficult for me to witness what I watched last night from the governor, because in the midst of all the cynicism that abounds in politics, I personally sincerely hoped that we were about to hear new and different things and a different tone from the governor as it relates to bipartisan outreach last night. And I mean that. I was personally disappointed, and I mean that not at all by way of political posturing. I legitimately thought, based on what I knew about the man, Ralph Northam, that Governor Northam would be different. And I still hope that's the case. But I had no indication of it last night that it would be. That speech was so partisan that some of us remarked to one another that he must have found it in the drawer of his predecessor and just decided to go ahead and give the speech nonetheless. The remarks I gave on this floor yesterday were sincere. There are diametrically opposed worldviews that are represented in this body that are reflective of our society at large. But that doesn't mean that there are not places where we can find opportunities to work together. I have a list of things that we just thought of this morning, about 20 things that could have been the focus of the governor's speech last night. And granted, he had a right at his inauguration to do a victory lap and check off boxes for advocacy groups that helped him get where he is. But he just doubled down last night to the pleasure of donors and advocacy groups. He made those partisan issues the absolute singular focus of his speech. And those 18 or 20 things that we were able to find that he could have talked about were left either unmentioned or with a passing reference. I think it's important to remember to advise the governor, our members across the aisle, and the members of the media that the notion of bipartisanship and the definition of bipartisanship is not Republicans doing what Democrats want. I think we largely get slapped with that definition from time to time. In fact, repeatedly, it seems like that is the definition we are faced with. Why don't you do what we want and be bipartisan? That's a two-way street. I don't think we get there. I don't think we bridge the divide on the things that truly separate us in our worldview. But again, there are innumerable things that we could focus on for good government, to help our citizens, to make life better, where we can find common ground. That was my invitation yesterday, that could be the focus of this session. If that is not the governor's intention, then he will allow his words from last night to just continue to ring with no correction. If he truly intends to make good on his singular reference to bipartisanship that he made in his speech last night, where he purported to be thankful that that was the watchword of the day. If he truly wants that, then there are ample opportunities for him to demonstrate and to articulate that that is his intention. I think last night was a missed opportunity. And I don't know who's in the governor's ear. And I know there are people who are left over from the previous administration who may have his ear or who may be writing his speeches. But I continue to maintain that the man we think we know is at the helm of our state government could be different and could reach across the partisan divide, if only he can get away from those who continue to clamor for him to set the agenda he set out last night. So we look for opportunities. We stand ready to do that. We have had not a single indication from the governor since his election that he is ready to do that. And so we look forward to that if that is his intention. And I thank you, Mr. Speaker.